Energetic hygiene. What is it and how do I cultivate it?
Brannon, how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Glad I'm
Your
alive.
your heart's still beating. You told me that you thought you had a heart attack yesterday.
I've had chest pain yesterday because of you. I would have blamed you for my death, but you
I,
did know.
I would have been responsible, but it probably would have still been worth it.
Yeah.
So we went and we got Brannon to basically conquer his fear of heights, and we had him jump off a 500-foot cliff yesterday in the deserts of Moab, Utah. So
Yeah, just a normal day, just
just
jump
just
off
to,
that
just to
500-foot cliff. Um, oh my gosh. So our grandpa 20, I don't know, 22 years ago fell off a 900-foot cliff at Glacier
Glacier National Park.
when he was 85 years old. And I was never scared of heights. Really, I could go up to the edge of a cliff and look over. But after that happened, it was like, nope, like I'm not getting close. So yesterday they fooled me. I thought I was on a little like Jeep ride in Moab, like having a good time. We had like the music blaring and stuff. And all of a sudden they pull up to this giant cliff and they're like, yeah, what would it be like to jump off of that? And I was like way back, like I'm not even gonna look over that thing. Next thing you know, 20 minutes later, I was taking the leap. So
You know
yeah,
what's cool, you know what's cool about that, Brannon, though, is that when we got to the cliff before you knew we were going to jump, and we're like, what would it be like to jump off of that? And you were like joking around and stuff, but then you said something. You said because you were like 30 feet away from the cliff, and you're like, this makes me think of Grandpa Harris.
yeah.
And then this is going to sound a little weird, but when I took my turn to jump off, this is going to sound so weird. Um, right at the very bottom before the rope caught me, I felt Grandpa Harris.
Really?
And I was like, I had this like impression go through my whole body that he felt no pain. Like, um, and it was kind of like this weird spiritual moment I had where I felt like this connection to basically, I don't know if you could call that his legacy.
Well,
but,
it's interesting, Tyler. Have you been up to Glacier where he fell?
I've never been to the spot where he fell. I
I've
want
been
to.
there, and it's the most incredible view. And I felt the same thing of like when he tripped, so he tripped, and right when he started to descend, his soul went one way and his body went another. And it's a great way to go when you're 85, you
It's a
know?
it's a perfect. Hey, after having jumped off and felt that freedom and that pure 100% surrender, there is no control left in your life at that moment. That feels really, really good.
Yeah, yeah, once you can,
Once you can fully surrender to it. So, anyway, I wanted to read a quick review and then we'll dive into our topic today. But we got a great review and we love you guys' reviews. So, and I just want to make us feel good today, Brandon, because sometimes the reviews aren't like overly positive, but this one's a good one. So you can enjoy yourself on this. It says, Heart and Soul Reclaimed 100. Dear Tyler and Brandon, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you both, not only for what you do, but for who you are. After the Rising Sun retreat, I feel something in me has truly awakened, not just my mind, but my soul, my inner child. You helped open a door that I didn't even realize I had been closed for so long. Through your example, I felt my higher self begin to emerge, the part of me that remembers who I've always been beneath the armor, the pain, and the noise. You both have a gift, this rare ability to hold space for men to rediscover their hearts. I've never felt so safe, seen, and challenged all at once. You created a brotherhood that transcends words. It's the one that I feel deeply honored to now be a part of. Thank you for embodying what the true masculine strength looks like, not dominance, but presence, not perfection, but authenticity, not preaching, but living your truth. I consider it one of the greatest privileges of my life to call you both my brothers. Thank you for helping me remember who I am and for lighting the path for so many others to do the same with deep love and gratitude.
whoa, like that.
How often do you get that one, Brandon?
That was a great I mean, that's more than a review to me. Like, holy cow,
Just feel a
that
ton of love right there, huh?
I really do. Just feel a lot of love for all the people that we work with and connect to, and that brotherhood is real, and that connection is real. So it's awesome. I don't know what to say. So
Yeah, just
uh,
say thank. We'll just say thank you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we have amazing guests today, so we need to stop like talking amongst ourselves, Tyler, and
a
get to
great topic today too.
an incredible topic today. So, Jonathan and Jamie, welcome to the show. It's
Thank
good to
you.
have you guys. I will totally botch
Bef-
explaining what you guys.
Before we do this, let me explain how we got him here,
Oh
Brannon.
yeah,
Does
okay,
that
do
sound all right?
that.
Brannon and I are part of something called Conscious Business Mastery. It's something we signed up for to kind of help ourselves authentically grow as we try to grow our business. And they did a retreat for us the same way we do retreats for like our men's and women's retreats. And we went out there and happened to maybe the best thing that happened at the whole retreat, which was amazing, was that we met Yonatan and Jamie. And they just have like, you guys will feel it, but they just have this amazing desire to do good in the world. They have amazing hearts of gold and they have a lot to offer. So, um, welcome you guys. Tell us a little bit about you, about what you do, and then we'll jump into some of the questions we had.
Thank you. First, I just want to say what a tremendous honor it is to be here with you guys. We also felt from that weekend at CBM that the thing that we really took away from that was meeting you two and how impactful that was for us. Not only seeing the love and the presence that you guys bring into the world and what you're doing, which is such an incredible mission, but also you guys brought a lot of clarity for us around our business and how we were going to move forward after that retreat. So we are just in the depths of gratitude for the two of you. And thank you for having us here today. Really honored to support whatever it is that you guys are creating in the world because we really believe in what you're doing. Um, and so a little bit about us. I'm Yonatan. This is my wife, Jamie, and together we are word of mouth. We own a wellness center in West Hollywood, California. And the work that we do is essentially life and relationship coaching. We work with people through different transitions in their lives, people moving through um, divorce and also people moving into union and marriage. We work with people who are expecting a new baby and also people who are struggling with the grief of a lost one in their lives. We really help support people move through these big moments in their lives. And the modalities that we use in our work is in our coaching, we acknowledge the mind. But before we get to mind, we tend to the body first through breath work and movement. I specifically teach classical Pilates. Jamie is a functional movement expert. And so we use those modalities to get into the body. And then we're also both Reiki masters. And so we close our sessions up with energy work and sound healing. And so we take a very holistic approach to our work of mind, body, spirit, and all of our clients really get this full treatment of their entire being. Um, and what we came here to talk about today is energetic hygiene. And this is a topic that is foreign to most people, but it's our mission to bring this into the light and to bring it to a place where just like everybody brushes and hopefully flosses their teeth every day, this is a practice that people would do in order to clear their energy at the end of the day or at the beginning of each day.
It's awesome. Like you said, when with the topic of energetic hygiene came up, I thought I've never heard somebody use that phrase before. You hear personal hygiene, you hear emotional hygiene. We talk about in our work, we talk a lot about doing something called your daily charge, which is like kind of an emotional and physical hygiene that you do, but I've never heard it framed in the terms of energetic hygiene. And so, I don't know if Jamie, if you could speak to that a little bit more. What's the distinction between those things, or how do they overlap with each other?
Yeah, I'd love to speak to it. I think energetic hygiene is something that can include all of those things. We are energetic beings. Everything in this universe is made of energy, and energy can't be created or destroyed, but it can be transformed. And we live in this world where we have access to so much information. There's so much coming at us. We don't really get a break from it, whether we're on social media or listening to a podcast or with our children. We're in it. We're bathing in the energy of our day and our life. And especially for sensitive people, we can sometimes absorb the energy that we're engaging with, whether it's someone's fear or anxiety or stress or even their joy. We can move through our day and sort of start to scoop up this energetic residue. And I think we all have that experience of getting home from a meeting or work or gathering and just feeling like so soul deep drained and not really understanding why or how to shake that. Energetic hygiene practices help us to engage in difficult experiences, difficult environments, and also know how to take that off at the end of the day so that we can come back home to our center.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'm wondering, I'm thinking of energy, and to me, energy seems to be something that's, when you talk about it, I like how you phrased it, but it seems fluid and in motion. And part of what you're saying is that sometimes it's the parts that we cling to or hold on to that cause the blockage because we're not allowing for the comings and goings of that energy in our lives. Is that part of what you're saying here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have in the practice that we use, which is Reiki, it's an energy medicine practice. It comes to us from Japan. Energy healing is something that's been done across the planet for centuries, but the one that we practice comes from Japan. Um, it acknowledges that we have this physical body. It's dense, we can touch it, we can feel it. Beyond that, you have an energy body. It's that thing that you two get on a Zoom call and you can feel immediately something's up. What's going on with you? That's the energy body. It's not dense. You can't touch it, but you know it. And then we have beyond that, the spiritual body, the part of you that connects to something beyond yourself, whatever that means to you.
Can I be a little bit like selfish here and use me as an example as we walk through this a little bit? So, um, I just a couple of things, and I've done some work with you guys, and I've actually done a lot of work in terms of my own energetic hygiene, I think. But as a therapist, as an empath, for years I didn't, and it was killing me. It was so, I meet with people a lot on the computer, and just like you just said, Jamie, like I still take on their energy. And if I meet with them, like I meet with a lot of people, my temples get really tense. My eyes, I get a lot of tension in my eyes. I'll clench my jaw and I'll grind my teeth at night. Um, I'll be unavailable emotionally for my kids and my wife by the time I get home. And I tell myself like, yeah, I'm gonna leave that all out at the office. But it just feels like all this crazy energy all around me as I, try to go home. And it's like, yeah, it should be just, I should be able to just leave it, but I don't, and I can't. And so can you give me a few pointers? Like, tell me like how this works?
For sure. You want to take this or you want to take it?
Well, similarly to if you were, as a child, if you were playing at the sandbox, and once you were done playing in the sandbox, you wanted to say, well, I'm going to leave the sandbox there, and now I'm going to go home. But we all know that's not the case. You got to come home, and you got to shower. You got to really rinse it all
I
off,
stand all over the car.
right? And so even just saying, I want to leave this energy at the office, the intention is strong, and that's the first step, but it's not quite enough, right? And so coming into a practice of recognizing, like, okay, I recognize that I've absorbed energy today from my clients, and I've probably left some of my energy with them. So first and foremost, I'm going to come into my inner world. I'll use my breath as the vehicle to coming back to center. And then I'll start to recognize that I've unknowingly or knowingly scooped up some energy that doesn't belong to me, right? And so I start to channel in and call in my energy from where I might have left it behind. And as that energy starts to pour into me, I can then start to release the energy that doesn't belong to me. And I like to think of it as the energy that I'm calling in, my energy I'm calling back in, is this golden energy that's entering through my crown and just pouring back into me. And the energy that doesn't belong to me that I'm sending back is like a gray mist that's coming out of my mouth. But I like to envision that that gray mist has some golden sparkles in it, because I'm not only sending that energy back to where it came from, but I'm sending it back better than I found it.
With your true self.
Transmuted it a little bit. Yeah.
Right. And then that becomes this like this process of calling back what is mine, releasing what is not mine, and clearing my energy.
Mm.
The next step is protecting what I've cultivated. And in that step, I start to envision myself surrounded in an eggshell. Often I like to think of it as a golden eggshell, right? And why an eggshell? Because an eggshell allows nutrients, allows the goodness in, allows the sunlight and the oxygen and the things that we need to survive. It allows it in while blocking the things that don't need to come in. And so once I've established this eggshell of protecting my energy, then I've cleared my energy and I've protected my cultivated energy. And the final step is then taking some moments to pour gratitude into myself. Gratitude for my energy, gratitude for my service and sending the energy back to where I found it better than I found it. Gratitude for this eggshell and my desire to protect and cultivate my energy. And just gratitude for this heart that's beating in my chest and keeping me alive every single day.
So,
Oh, go ahead, Tyler.
no, I guess I'm just wondering, I'm trying to picture, and maybe you guys can correct me if I'm even wrong for doing this, if it's ineffective to do this, but I'm trying to picture like the formula or the recipe that like what you just shared would be what our listeners are looking for. And these are the words that are coming to my mind. Tell me if I'm missing them or if I'm not picking up the essence of what you guys are actually trying to share here. But I'm hearing grounding, which comes through, in this case, the example you're sharing comes through the breath work tied with mindfulness and awareness. That leads to some form of imagery work to go along with that mindfulness and awareness. And then that imagery work leads into the gratitude for multiple things, for your life, your energy, and your body. And so you're kind of attending to all of those things at the same time. Those would be like the principles that I'm hearing. Is that close? Would you
Yeah.
add more?
We have slightly different words for it, and I'll break this down into a really simple three-step process, and you can think of it in three words. First one is clear. So you've scooped up all that sand. You got to get the sand out of your pockets and you got to take a shower, right? And that's that image of calling your energy back and letting go of what's not yours. And there's a really simple breath practice you can use to do that. So clear. Second one is protect. That's that visual of the eggshell. Especially when we're in work like the two of you are, we have to take our boundaries down a little bit. When we're sensitive people, when we have children, when we're like meeting with people on their level all day, sometimes the boundaries get a little slippery and we start to lose track of where we end and another begins. So protect is number two. Think of that eggshell so that you know really clearly where you end and everyone else begins. And then the third step is nourish. So you're going to pour some gratitude into your system. It's really hard to feel anything else when you're feeling grateful. And it's really hard to scoop up things that aren't really going to be beneficial or helpful for you when you're feeling gratitude. You want to kind of think of that as like your energy diet. When you're eating really healthy, clean foods, you don't so much crave that like super greasy, calorically dense food that's not as healthy for you because your body's nourished, it's full. So clear, protect, and nourish are the three steps to coming back to center and feeling really good moving through the world.
That's
I love what you just said, Jamie, and it's like it so sounds so simple. I just think, and if you guys could speak to this, a lot of people they're just unconscious, like they just grind, and they don't stop and do this hygiene. They don't, and next thing you know, they start getting health like issues and all kinds of stuff starts happening. How do you begin? Like, where do you just start? Like, let's say you start getting chronic headaches or gut issues or whatever it is. Like, to practice this, like, what's something practical to just start to do every day?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll share just a brief little story. Prior to doing this work, I was a personal trainer and I worked a lot with injury prevention and recovery. So I saw a lot of people who had pain in their bodies. And what I started to notice is that there was almost always some sort of emotional or energetic root to it. And through Reiki and the practices that we use, there's an idea that things, our challenges, our physical issues start in the energy body, right? So we're scooping up all this energy, we're not dealing with it. The body can talk a little louder than the energy body. And so, yeah, things like headaches can start to pop up and can't seem to find the solution through massage or whatever. Like it doesn't quite do the trick. Um, I would say if you were going to do just one thing every single day, is that first practice of clearing your energy field. So just thinking about as you inhale, setting an intention, I'm breathing or calling my own energy back to center. And I like to think about it landing in my heart. That feels like center to me, but some people feel solar plexus or throat. Calling myself back home. And as I exhale, I let go of anything that isn't mine. And again, I send it back with love, better than I found it. Inhale, call yourself back home. And exhale, letting go of anything that's not mine. And it's a practice. You can start your day with it. You can practice this after an interaction with somebody where you notice you're starting to feel a little bit off center. Maybe that headache is starting to pop up, or whatever whatever way your physical body talks to you when things are not quite right. But that practice alone will just get you so clear in your energy body. That's equivalent to brushing your teeth. If you could do that a couple times a day, you'd be in really good shape energetically.
And it does seem so simple. I mean, but it's the kind of thing that is kind of like brushing your teeth, where if you brush the way you're supposed to, you don't really do everything anytime you brush, but somehow it just keeps your teeth clean, and like it keeps the vessel almost like able to as a conduit for that energy that you're talking about. And I'm guessing, and I'm guessing with the three things you shared, I love what you shared, and I love that idea of the language you used there was something that kind of struck me, of calling yourself home.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like that's a beautiful kind of imagery to me. But the three things you said, clear, protect, and nourish, and in my head was almost like, especially in the line of work we do and like you do, there was almost like a follow up, so that I can now what manifest and offer my best self back to the world.
Mhm.
Is I'm guessing that's what that's for. The hygiene is so that we can be the most pure, the best vessel of being able to shine whatever the light is into the lives of everyone around us.
Totally. I think in the same way that we take care of our physical health, and there's always this so that, right? So that I can be the best partner to my husband and feel energized and good and not be like a cause of worry for my family, so that I can feel energized with my children, so that I can really express myself in the world and give my gifts fully. Those are the reasons I take care of my physical health. And they're the same reasons I take care of my energetic health. And we can kind of think of, right, like if you're flossing and you're brushing and you're really practicing good oral hygiene, hopefully you don't need a lot of dental work. So when someone's really deeply practicing this, hopefully they don't need always a deep dive with us. Sometimes when we've lost sight of that, you need a deep dive, you need some support, you need some help getting your system back into health and vitality.
That's when someone would come to work with you guys then is, and then I'm guessing they probably come when they're more in the crisis point, and then you're working from there back to brushing their teeth
Yes.
in essence. But you have to do certain things once it's built up. I'm picturing like, you know, energy after energy kind of stacking itself up, packing itself tight inside of the vessel. And sometimes I'm guessing there's certain practices, there's certain things that have to be done that probably aren't as simple as that in and out breath to kind of help get things moving again with people. It's similar to the trauma work that Brannon and I do.
Yeah.
What we do something like EMDR, that often is not a very like easy, slow, pretty process. It's actually a pretty lively, full of energy. It even feels like hot in the room sometimes kind of thing, combustible to get it moving. But then once it gets moving again, then they sort of are able to kind of start recalibrating the story and everything else around it. I'm guessing you guys do some of those types of things too.
Yeah, similar from our conversations around our work. I think we take slightly different angles to very similar problems, and the commonality that we see is, let's say you have a lifetime of not practicing energetic hygiene, or not actually feeling your emotions fully or expressing yourself fully. You push it down, you push it down, you push it down. You have many layers to move through to get to a place where you feel like, I'm navigating clear water now. But you start to peel the layers off and it gets a little easier. It becomes a little bit less dense as we work with those layers of energy, right? Let's say this feeling of like, oh, I'm going home and I have this headache and this tension. And okay, one day that's impactful, 2 days that's impactful, a decade of working like that. There's some bigger practices that we use to support moving that bigger energy, and that more, like, I would describe it as more dense when we have a history like that.
And
Yeah. Oh, go ahead,
Go ahead,
Yonatan.
Yonatan.
no, I was just going to say that, a couple months ago, we had the pleasure of doing a session with both of you. Both those sessions were very different. I know you guys didn't get to experience it together, but from our perspective, it was very different. And I'm curious what your takeaways were um, in that process.
You want to start, Tyler?
I've been talking a lot. You can go, Brannon.
I just, as you guys are talking, I'm like it's like all these things are firing off for me, and that like what Jamie just described, I just feel like I've been really, Tyler and I learned a lot about empathy over the weekend, but I've been really bad at that, at the whole process actually, but especially the eggshell part, like just taking it on for 15 years, and really intense, like strong, sad, difficult energy. And as you describe it as dense, like that is the perfect word for it for me. Um, and so it feels almost chronic to me, where it's like I've had my own brain fog for years. I've had this tension in my eyes for years. Um, and so it's like when I did that session with you, I felt a lift. I felt something, some relief. But then my hygiene sucks. Like I go back to what I've always done, and then it's like I I feel like I really need to stop and make this a priority. That's what's going through my head of like this has to be a priority for me, for my health, for my work, for my life. Um, so that's what's going on inside of me right now.
Mm.
So
Maybe I'll add, and then you guys can decide which way how you want to respond. But my experience with you guys was awesome. It was it was actually really powerful. It was powerful emotionally. It actually helped alleviate some of my physical symptoms. One of the places where I carry a lot of my tension when I feel like I'm not doing well with my emotional hygiene is right behind my right shoulder blade. And I feel this really tight knot, like this heaviness, this like almost like you're talking about like the denseness of it all. And after working with you guys, I actually felt a big release there. And I haven't really had that tension come back since then. Um, I do work really hard at my own version of some of the hygiene. What I really like about what you said here is that calling yourself home part, because so much of what I do in my day-to-day morning routine includes different activities that in some ways also kind of get towards some of these things you're talking about.
Mm.
And some of those, that time in nature and my time to meditate and the breath work that I do every day, I think is probably helping to cultivate some of that. And maybe this is the dichotomy is I feel pretty good about where I'm at in terms of the flow now and the hygiene. And Brandon's still going like, man, that was awesome. But
I still have a lot of cavities, and you're like, hey, that checkout's pretty good.
What the dentist say? I can tell you that when life was really at the bottom, Brandon, remember when I went to the dentist? That's why I have all these fake teeth now. Because the dentist was I never had a cavity before in my life, and the dentist was like, you drink way too much soda, you're overweight, like you're and what I was doing was working three jobs trying to carry everybody's burdens and working my own personal recovery at the same time. Of course I had like 13 cavities, right? And now I'm the one who gets to go to the dentist and be like, hey Brannon, like how many cavities you got? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know what you guys think of what Brandon and I just said. What I don't know if you guys have a response for that or not, but
Yeah, we live in a time where the emphasis on success is go, go, go. It's martyring ourselves and giving more of ourselves than we can give so that, our clients, our families, the world around us, it gets everything that we have to offer while we don't save very much for ourselves. It's, partly built into our culture. It's now exacerbated by social media and the things that we are inundated with, the imagery and the videos and the messages that are constantly bombarding our nervous systems. And there's just like never a point at which it lets up. And so a session with us, right, can unlock something for you that if you are in the process of cultivating these habits and you have a strong morning routine and you're meditating and you're focused on breath work and these these little these little drops in the bucket, one session could really open you up and get the ball rolling in a beautiful way. Also, if those practices aren't there, one session can kind of open you up and start to agitate what is going on. And it needs more attention, it needs more love, it needs more focused time and energy, right? And what's really beautiful about this work is it's every person is their own journey, right? And so it's not surprising to hear two completely different stories from two completely different sessions, uh, and that it really does show us that these, like, it's like being a little kid when you first learned how to brush your teeth. Your parents made you do it. You hated it. Nobody liked doing it. It was annoying. It took time. Like, you didn't even know what the point was. And now you do it. You don't even think about it. It takes 2 minutes. And it's like, if you didn't do it, you would have a hard time going to bed. Right. And so it's these things, these little habits that we build over time. And, right now there's the four of us on this Zoom call, and there's, in the future, or in the present on YouTube, there are listeners that are also engaged in this energetic moment with us. But there's also the energy between us that is present on this call. And the energy is listening.
Mhm.
The energy is always listening. That's why it's really important, the words that we use, right? We're casting spells with the words that we're using. We're literally creating our reality. It's because the energy is listening at all times. And what we teach is really about creating a relationship with the energy, a relationship that when you're in good relationship with somebody, you check in, you ask them what they need, you make, commitments, you give parts of yourself to a relationship to nurture and love a relationship. And whether we are conscious of the relationship that we have with the energy or not, we're still in relationship with it. And so what our focus is bringing that conscious awareness to that relationship, and how do we cultivate and create the best relationship possible.
Yes.
I love that. I I think it's when you something you said about taking that even that exercise you just did with us of the inhale, ground yourself, exhale, let it all out kind of thing. It seems that, and maybe this is a cultural thing, maybe I'm the only one who feels this way, but if I were to take 5 minutes and do that, I know that there would be another part of my brain, and this is something I battle with my own breath work, that's saying you're wasting your time. You should focus on this. You should do this. You should be engaged in that. You're like, it's like, how do you get the whole organism to fall in line with how valuable the attending to the energy is? How do you get that? How do you get yourself to be convinced that that is worth time worth spending?
Yeah. It's such a good question, and I think it's deeply embedded in our culture at the present moment to pour out into the world and kind of empty yourself for the world. And Yonatan put it really beautifully, right? To martyr ourselves. It's celebrated in a lot of ways. And so the first thing I want to say is like there's never any blame in carrying that story. Like you can have compassion for the part of you that carries that story that taking care of yourself is selfish, right? We learned it somewhere and we're bathed in a culture that really supports that idea. Um, and what we've learned through our work and what we've really worked to embody is that when we actually take the time to pour into ourselves until we're full, which is a radical thing and takes a real commitment to trying something new and building a new pattern, there's this overflow that occurs. And what everyone in our life gets to experience is you at capacity and you giving from fullness and them not needing to worry, like, am I taking too much? Is he okay? Is everything going to be all right? Um, and so actually like permission to pour into yourself until you feel really full. And that for a lot of people feels very uncomfortable and confronting to start with.
Mm.
So I just want to acknowledge that. But when we take that time for that breath work, when we take that time for that energetic hygiene, when we take that time to get out into nature, take 10 minutes to ourselves in the middle of a busy day, the quality of who we are and the quality of our presence grows exponentially, because I'm 100% with you right now. I'm not feeling like, man, I skipped my workout and my hip kind of hurts right now and I'm really hungry because I didn't eat before this. I rushed into it, right? Like when I'm nourished, I can be 100% present and 100% with you. And the gift of that presence for people is so profound and beautiful. And so what you can a nice reframe when you're someone who's in a place of service and really wanting to show up for the world is the quality of my presence increases when I'm taking care of myself. And through taking care of myself, I'm actually deeply nurturing and nourishing my community. And through actually giving myself permission to do that, I'm becoming a role model and an anchor for my community to do the same. And I think that's a really powerful reframe that we can make. And it's one that's culturally impactful and it's impactful to our communities. And we can be gentle with ourselves along the way when we notice that voice saying this breath work is a waste of time. There's 100 other people that I could be serving right now.
Mm-hmm.
That reframe that you just gave, I'm going back to the language you use, Yonatan, would be, in essence, I'm casting a new spell that's actually attending to the language and the energy itself rather than living the old spell, which is you're selfish if you fill your tank.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another spell that goes along with that, probably, that is because you can't trust yourself to actually just overflow into goodness with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So the reframe is the practice of casting the new spell.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you?
And a
Oh,
nice, just really quick, a nice thing when I'm noticing a story or a spell that's not serving me, I'll write it down and then I'll get curious and just ask what else might be true. I don't have to negate that there's a truth to it, but what else might be true? And I'll kind of list out everything and circle or highlight like what story or new spell might feel most nourishing to me, what's something I might want to try on that might also be true.
did you say Reiki? Reiki's from Japan.
Yeah.
Um, I just I'm kind of having this thought. I feel like there's this energy going on collectively where people are becoming much more open to actual healing, I'll call it. Um, but there's also this stigma still, like a lot of people will listen to this. I am such a firm believer in what you guys do. Like I truly am, and I think everybody needs it. And um, but a lot of people will listen to this and be like, well, that's just woo woo. That's that like that whatever they're talking about. That's not real. Um, I'm reminded, Tyler and I interviewed a guy last week, and he was talking about how women in Cambodia are never like taught anything about feminine hygiene. And so when they start their periods, they just start reacting in the ways that they react, and they don't know anything, and they do all this unhealthy stuff, and they don't, and they're just unaware. They're uneducated, unaware. They don't know about it. And I kind of feel like that's kind of where we're at, but there's an awakening starting to happen where it's like it's okay for us to get conscious and to let this stigma go and actually start to accept and fully acknowledge that we are energetic beings, and our health and our even down to our cells. Tyler and I were watching this thing yesterday, like has everything to do with the energy that we allow to flow. Can you guys just speak to that? It's good. I don't know your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, you know, one of the things that is really compelling, and in particular in the Western world, is that Reiki is Reiki is practiced in over 700 hospitals across the US. Uh,
Wow.
Science has done a lot of testing on Reiki and has concluded that it's very much real. From a scientific perspective, what is happening is, as you guys know, and I'm sure many of your listeners do too, we've got multiple states of being in our nervous system. Everybody knows about fight or flight. We've all heard about fight or flight. We've all learned it in school. And honestly, most of us are functioning on this lower level of fight or flight all the time. There's a few other states of being, one in particular being rest and digest. Most people have never heard of rest and digest, but that's coming out of the sympathetic into the parasympathetic, right? And in that state of being, the body has this superpower of healing itself, of processing energy, processing trauma, of just allowing for movement to take place energetically, emotionally, physically. And what Reiki does is it drops somebody right out of fight or flight and into rest and digest. And so, as the practitioners, we are channeling universal conscious energy. We're focusing that energy on our client, but really, we're creating this sense of safety that the client and their body can drop out of fight or flight and into rest and digest. And the body begins to do the work. The body naturally begins to do the healing. And so, yes, there's this element of it that is woo-woo magic and all of that, right? And I'll even just be really vulnerable. There's times where I've been in a session doing Reiki and I'm asking myself, is this even working? Is anything ever even happening? Like I'm not feeling anything. And then the person comes out of it and they're like, oh my God, I had this realization and this happened and this release and, and so there is this element of, right, we're working with something that you can't touch, you can't hold it in your hands, but it is who we are. So, let me, there's a couple of tools that I want to share with you guys, and one of them helps with this. At least it helped me. I want you guys to bring your hands together, and I want you to rub them, and I invite your listeners to do this as well, is rub these palms together, start to bring that heat, that energy to the surface. Right now, from here, just take your hands apart about an inch or two. What do you feel? Some people describe it as warmth. Some people describe it as magnetism or polarity. Some describe it as electricity or cool, right? That energy is universal conscious energy. That energy is what makes you guys uniquely individuals and also connects you to all living things from the beginning of time to the end of time. This connects you to God, the universe. This connects you to us. This is the same energy that is me, that is you, right? And it's that simple, but so incredibly profound, that we are these energetic beings and we have all this power inside of us that is just asking to be cultivated. And when you cultivate it, the first place that you're supposed to channel that energy is inward, is in self-healing, is in pouring into your cup. And when your cup is overflowing, then you turn that out into the world and you start to remind others of their power of healing themselves.
And I'm going to add a little story to this because I think stories are how we can see ourselves in something. And I recognize that now at this moment in my life, me talking about energy healing and Reiki and all of this, it might be hard to connect to for some of your listeners, right? To your point, it sounds a little woo-woo. But if I walk you back 15 years, I was a person who struggled with chronic back pain, depression, anxiety. I was on medication for those things. I struggled with alcohol use. I struggled in my relationships. I struggled to have relationships that felt quality and grounded and healthy. And I've always been a very sensitive person. And what had happened to me is that I had accumulated so much energy that I didn't know what to do with. I was pushing it down and it was making me feel tight and constricted and buzzy and in pain. And it's interesting, I recently had my driver's license picture retaken, and I was comparing this picture from like 15 years ago, my most recent, to now, and I look younger now. My face, the shape of my face has changed. And the thing that shifted for me is I started to understand energy. I tried the Western medical route and it was helpful for a time, but it didn't do the trick because I wasn't getting to the root of what was causing all of this emotional and physical pain. And when I started to understand energy, I started to really acknowledge what I was holding on to that was not mine. I started to learn how to let that go. I started to learn how to relate in a way that felt good and nourishing and healthy for me as someone who's sensitive to energy. I started to like people more and to enjoy my social interactions more. And slowly, medication slipped away. Alcohol is not a part of my life, and it wasn't through intentional change. It was through just wanting to heal myself, and all of those things sort of slipped away. I don't struggle with chronic back pain anymore. And I think those things are very real things that so many people in our population struggle with. The number of people on medication for some sort of physical or emotional pain is incredibly high right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can all relate to that, and we can recognize that what we're currently doing isn't fully doing the job,
Yeah.
right? It's supporting in some ways, but people are getting sicker and sadder and having a harder and harder time. And I think a big part of that is that we're not acknowledging a huge piece of the equation. And to your point, people are more open right now because we've reached this sort of tipping point where collective pain is at a high. And it's something like if you feel even a little bit of resistance to it, that's energy. Like even if you're feeling resistance to it, try it. See what happens, see what you notice. Because the potential benefits of this work of understanding our energy body and learning to work with energy is being able to move through this world and feel at peace and really feel whole and grounded and healthy, even though nothing outside of you changes. You can change this and adjust the way that this navigates through the world.
This is awesome, you guys. I know we're running short on time, and this is great. I'm kind of like I'm actually just kind of sitting in like a calm energy right now, just in our
Yeah.
conversation. I kind of don't want
Yeah.
it. I don't want the conversation to end. I hope our listeners are able to feel some of that too. Um, if could you guys just share a little bit about, anyone who's listening right now that might be interested in learning more or being able to kind of connect with you guys, what's the best way for them to find you and connect with you?
Yeah, so our website is a great resource. Wordofmouth.love is the website. You can also find us on Instagram at wordofmouth.love. And I will share with you too a link that you can drop in your show notes. That's a free gift from us. It's that energetic hygiene practice that we did earlier,
Love
clearing
it.
and nourishing the energy fields. It's something that you can pop on and kind of listen to and feel guided through that practice if you are curious about our work but not quite ready to reach out yet.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I will
Yeah.
be using that for sure.
Yeah, we'll definitely put it in the show notes, and yeah, we would love to be able to share that. Man, you guys, like, thank you so much for your willingness to come on and share yourselves the way you did today, and the tools already. They're so practical, so simple, but I can already feel like the truthfulness of a lot of what you've said today. So hopefully, if you guys are listening, you're feeling some of those same things. If this is valuable to you, and if you like what we're doing here, there's a few things you can do to support us without costing yourself a dime. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube, rate and review the show, and especially what we're about is wanting to share whatever goodness we have with you. If anything in this episode is meaningful to you, share it with somebody else who might also benefit from it. And we love our listeners. We love our community here. We love you, Jamie and Yonatan. Thank you for being here. And until next time, keep on keeping on.